everyone, I'm Sarah Singleton, and I became a judge in January when I was appointed, and now I'm running in Division 2 to keep my seat. And actually the very top one should be Division 2, not Division 7. We have enough people running that we don't need more people. I have two things on my bench, and I've had them there since the first day I sat up there. And one is the domestic violence bench book, and the other is a booklet that tells me about the services that are available for people who might be involved in domestic abuse. And so I have to start out by saying thank you to any of you who provide shelter to people who are seeking safety. Thank you to anybody who provides treatment, particularly a long-term treatment to people who have committed abuse or who have suffered abuse. Thank you to anyone who provides supervised or therapeutic visitation to the children who have come from families where there has been this kind of abuse or where they themselves have been the victim of abuse. I can't tell you how ineffectual I would feel as a judge when faced with these kinds of problems if those services weren't available in our community. And I hope that we continue to have those services available, and that as various people who consider budget cuts are considering what to cut, that they don't take don't balance the budget on the backs of those kinds of services, because a court order can only do so much, in my opinion. So thank you, and I really mean that. Right now, the docket in Division 2 is only half civil, and the other half is domestic. It's primarily domestic matters, but we do have to consider domestic violence cases, and particularly if the domestic violence judge is excused. So I think it's very important that the judge in Division 2 be very familiar not only with the law as it relates to domestic abuse, but also with services available in the community. And so I do thank you for asking us all to be here. I was a lawyer in Santa Fe for 35 years before I joined the bench, and I could tell you about all the kinds of cases I handled there, but that's not really what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about not cases, but my passion, and that was to make sure that everyone has access to the civil justice system, and I worked very hard on that as a lawyer. In particular, as it relates to domestic violence, and I'm glad to see some of the legal aid providers here, because I worked hard to make sure that their program would actually take domestic cases, a domestic violence component in them, because they didn't used to. I've also worked trying to improve the willingness of lawyers to do pro bono in this area, and I think Carol can tell you how frustrating that effort has been, but it's something that I want to continue, because I do believe, based on Justice Department studies, that one thing that is most effective for getting people out of a cycle of violence is to get them a lawyer who can extricate themselves from those kinds of legal entanglements, and I really think it's important that we try to do that. Finally, I do want to echo what Margaret said. I like to be educated. I like it when the people who are there from the city to monitor us come in and talk to me about the cases and what they observe. I like it if people who are service providers give me feedback on what's going on. So I really do hope that you will do that. Finally, I do hope when it comes to June 1 that you will remember Sarah Singleton in Division 2. Thanks.
Good afternoon. My name is Gary Elion. I'm a candidate for District Court Judge in Division 8, which is the Domestic Violence Court. It was a pleasure to walk into the hospital on my own power, because the last time I was here, it was as a patient. And the care of Mr. Gunderson was excellent. I began working in the domestic violence field as a certified law student. This was with San Francisco Legal Assistance. At that time, legal assistants had a one-strike rule. The one-strike rule said that if you come in and you ask for assistance, and we get you the restraining order, and if it's appropriate, get you the divorce, you may not dismiss that case and go back to the abusive spouse. you do, we will not take you back as a client. On my first day, I was assigned to a new client, which was a thrill as a certified law student. And this was a woman who had been abused. And I obtained, under the supervision of a lawyer, a restraining order and filed for divorce. She went back to him. So the one-strike rule was invoked. And then she came back a month later with physical injuries that were more horrible and horrific than the first time. The agency waived its rule and we took her back. And I obtained a restraining order for her a second time and filed a divorce for her the second time. And she asked them to be dismissed. The third time she came back with an iron burn on the left side of her face. The agency would not waive its rule. So as a certified law student, I started going around trying to find a lawyer for her because I could not represent her myself. I went to my boss at the law firm where I was clerking, who happened to be the former mayor of San Francisco, and a very distinguished antitrust lawyer who never would dream of getting his hands dirty with something as awful as domestic violence and family law. I convinced him to take the case, and he did. And from that day forward, he bragged to people that he was a divorce lawyer. But the point of the story is that unless lawyers or people with other specific skills are willing to pitch in and help when others will not, we're going to see a perpetuation and continuation of the situation that we have today. I expect and hope to continue as the judge of the 8th Division